Hi everyone, welcome to the Property Page podcast. My name is Bradley Clark and today I've got my good friend Rocky on the show. So we met back probably three years ago? Working at Newman's Estate Agents in Coventry. And then Rocky has then progressed on to work for a few different other companies and now is the manager of Sheldon, Bosley Night in Kenilworth. So Rocky, if you want to introduce yourself and we'll talk a little bit about your journey, what you've done so far and how it's got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I now work at Sheldon, Bosley Night. My name's Rockwell Allen, or Rocky Allen. Branch manager over there now. Met Bradley, as he said, a few years back at Newman's, and then just stayed in contact, done a few bits of business together, probably will going forward.
And so where did it all start for you? Because you obviously weren't always an estate agent. I think the journey from your estate agent career starting to where you are now is pretty impressive.
Yes,
in the past few years.
Obviously had a few jobs in my life. Worked in accounts, worked for UPS as a business analysis and a solutions consultant, and then got to a certain point in my life I thought, let's change jobs. If you don't do it now, you never will. And then started an estate agency 3.5 years ago.
And where did you start?
I started at Connell's.
So quite a corporate role.
Yeah, very corporate. I applied for a sales role in Bosley Common for Atkinson Stilgo.
Yeah.
And just somehow managed to get the branch valuer's job in Coventry. So that was my insight into estate agency. It was, never worked in an office in my life, and you're in as a branch valuer for Coventry. Well, the only valuer for Coventry.
Yeah. And what made you start an estate agency coming from UPS? Quite a different role to selling houses as to...
I think I probably thought about it about 15 years ago, maybe a bit longer. I was a bar manager, and then I thought, I'm going to get a career. And I looked at estate agency, but at that time I was earning more as a bar manager than I would have as an estate agent. So I didn't really want to take a pay drop.
Yeah.
And I stayed as a bar manager and then went into accounts and different roles and stuff. So, it's always been there, and I'm always interested in property. So,
and would you look at investing in property as well?
It's something that I'll be doing in the next year.
So buy-to-lets and things like that. And so, obviously, then you started your role at Connell's, and a lot of people that we've worked with at Newman's, like Harry, who set up HR Estate Agents, and Brendan, who now does, what's his business called?
Brendan Pettigrew and Partners.
Powered by Newman's.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, what I'm saying is a lot of people have started in the corporate role at Connell's, like you have, like Harry has, and like Brendan has, and then gone on to do bigger things. So I think it's a great place to learn for people, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's what we've always talked about is when people have asked me, I want to be an estate agent, or how do I get into the industry, etc. I've always advised them to go and learn at the corporate, I think.
Yeah.
Go and do 6 months, a year at a corporate estate agents, because you really need to learn the whole process. And you need to get an understanding of what an estate agent does, and just the whole, from people viewing a house to buying a house to conveyance inside as well, etc. So I've always said to people you should get a good understanding from a corporate, and then obviously people stay there. People were there 10, 20 years. And then you can go to an independent, you can go to maybe a self-employed role. So it's changing a lot more than it used to.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. And so how long were you there before then you moved on to Newman's?
So I was only at Connell's for about 9 months, 10 months. I was just, I was enjoying it, but I wanted to move areas. I originally was in Coventry, and then I helped work in rugby. And I didn't really fancy getting home and start, because I used to start my day really early. I used to go to the gym with the mortgage advisor, so I'd be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And the gym's stopped now, yeah?
Gym's still there occasionally, but having a 9-month-old son, you don't really have an alarm.
Yeah.
You just get up when he's up.
Yeah.
I got up at 5 in the morning. I was getting home at like 6:30 at night, Monday to Friday, every other Saturday. I just didn't want to work in rugby. Sounds really stupid, because the previous 2 years I was a solutions consultant, and I was covering Southampton, Cornwall, Wales, the M4 corridor, and then I was doing a bit of Ipswich, Southend. So I was averaging about 60,000 miles a year driving.
Wow.
So I'd kind of had enough of driving. And Coventry to Rugby from where I live, it can take 45 minutes to
It's a bit of a trek, isn't it?
Yeah, so I thought, I'm just going to... I saw Newman's job advert, spoke to Brendan on the phone, just bought a house with my missus, gave up my paid employed role and went self-employed.
Brave.
Very brave, yeah. I thought I'd discuss it with her after I'd made the decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I've not looked back because I'm a believer in if you believe that you can do something and you have faith and trust in your ability, then you'll succeed. So I was never worried. People would question, why would you leave a job when you've got a house and a mortgage, etc., with a salary to go self-employed? But if you don't believe in yourself, then that's why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, 100%. And how did the whole situation go at Newman's for you while you were there?
So yeah, I enjoyed Newman's, working in the Coventry office, etc. That's where we met. It was good. I've only been an estate agent for a short period, so for me, I really needed to understand a bit more. And I think I left Newman's after 6 months. So it might sound like I was jumping in jobs, but I really needed to learn. And I think the only way you can learn is doing the job and doing different parts. So I went to an online because although some people might not agree, the online agency is there. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And even if it does go down or it's not as big as it was, that people will still take things from it now. And all the high streets that were criticising the online are taking ideas from them. Hart, which is part of Brian Holt,
yeah,
etc.
Did Hart buy out Brian Holt, or did they own it before?
I think they're part of Spicer Hart, which owns the whole. It's a bit like Countrywide when they had all the different brandings. They'd buy a group but keep it under one umbrella.
Yeah.
So they're now going into hubs. So what they're doing is pretty similar to Newman's. They are having paid agents. They'll give them a basic, but instead of reporting 9 till 5:30 in an office, you are in charge of a patch.
Right.
I know this because they approached me before Christmas to work for them.
Okay.
So yeah, you're in charge of a patch. You're in that area, and you will do what you do at an online. So you get the valuations, you do the viewings. You have support from the head office, or the offices, the market centres they're calling them, a bit like the Keller Williams, the XP models.
Yeah.
And then you're employed in that way.
And so how does it work then, in your opinion? Obviously, where you're working at the moment, you're obviously going to say is going to be the best, obviously, the high street agent, Sheldon, Bosley Knight in Kenilworth. But you've had a lot of great experience. So you've had the corporate world and understanding the sort of, I suppose, usual 9 till 5 of Connells, going out and doing valuations Monday through to Saturday. Then on to the self-employed role at Newman's, then onto the online at Yopa, and now back to the high street. So you've had a bit of a...
Yeah, I've gone full circle.
Yeah.
And
so what do you think's best?
What's you're ever comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's each individual is different.
And was the online agent a salary or...
No. So the online again, I left Newman's to go to the online agent at Yopa. It was something that interested me. It's very similar to the PB Purple Bricks model.
Yeah.
I was the territory owner for Coventry. Obviously, I employed someone near the end to help because it was a good patch. When I was there, I didn't just cover Coventry. I was doing Rugby, Stratford, Warwick, Leamington. So I covered quite a varied area, and each house was different. But it's whatever you're comfortable with. So some people will excel at online, and you don't get a salary, but you do. You will earn money.
Yeah,
it's hard not to. And then with the high street, it's if you're comfortable with it. So I always say, don't try and be someone else. Be yourself, because that other person's already taken. So you can't. There's no point in copying them. Take ideas from them, but be yourself.
True.
So it's whatever you're comfortable with.
And so maybe then the other question would be is from someone wanting to sell their house, how do they go about choosing the right agent? How do they go about choosing whether an online, a corporate, like I said?
I'd say most of it is the person.
Yeah.
So you buy into the person because you've called the company because they're an estate agent.
Yeah.
You might pick them on their fees, but I'd say the majority of it is the person. you have to buy into that person because they're selling your biggest asset.
Yeah.
So again, it's what you want. If you were selling, when I sold my flat, was I bothered about a brochure? No. It's a 2-bedroom flat. You can stand in the landing hallway and you can see the rooms. Floor plan, yeah, you can do one on a post-it note. When I sell this house, or when I was selling my flat in Bristol, got a corporate in. We've got a bigger estate agency in because it was a 2-floor apartment.
Yeah.
It's one of the original buildings in Bristol. So yeah, I think it depends on what you're selling and what you're looking for. So you've asked me earlier about investment properties. Will I be going to Knight Frank, Savills, Sheldon, Bosley, Knight to buy an investment property?
Probably not. No.
Probably not, because your average price of a property at those places is 350, 400 minimum.
Yeah.
Some of the places, a bit like Finding Country, they don't usually go for houses under 400k. So you're not going to go to that sort of place that does the videos and the floor plans and the photos. Now, if I'm buying a 2-3 bedroom property that I want to rent out online, it'll probably work.
Yeah. So there's a market for every agent out there.
There's a market for every agent, and there's a lot of agents out there. But you've just got to pick who you're comfortable with. As I say, most agencies will do the same on some of these properties. And what agencies you're at, they sell a lifestyle, they sell the area. And that's what you really want.
And where do you see the most important bit about estate agency from the sales side of things? So is it all about the marketing? Is it about the client base that you've got? Is it about how long you've been established?
It's your work ethic, it's your honesty, and it's being on the ball.
Yeah.
So on the marketing side, everyone's on the portals. Social media is going to be bigger over the next 10 years. If we chat in 10 years' time, 10 years ago, Rightmove was 1 to 2 years old.
Yeah.
If we chat in 10 years' time, will Rightmove have such a monopoly on the market? Probably not. Social medias will be out there because more and more people, and it's that generation of being on Instagram, Facebook. There's probably others, but I'm a bit older. Yeah. I was friends with Tom on MySpace, so there's loads of other ones out there, and that's what will probably go forward.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And you mentioned obviously about Rightmove, and then obviously I think your boss has set up another company as well.
We've got a new one, and it's more of a lifestyle portal. So you've got Rightmove and Zoopla that do quite a similar job, and we've got a new company called We Are the Market.
Right.
So we launched on February the 14th, 2021. We've got 35 agents plus just in Warwickshire that have signed up to it to be founders.
Wow.
So it's going to get bigger. We've only just started. And what's that is, that's selling, instead of clicking on, I want to live in Stratford, and you draw your area. When you click that, you'll also find out where's the local school, and there'll be a little bit from the teachers or etc. Or where's the local supermarket, where's the local chip shop, where's the local bowls club, where's tennis. So it's selling you what's a lifestyle, and you'll also be able to find a local mortgage broker that's potentially sold or helped broker a deal for a property in the area. So it's really selling that whole lifestyle and a bit of everything, instead of I want to live here, oh there's a school there, and researching. It's all going to be there for you. It's one-stop shop.
I was just going to say exactly that, so people can go there and find everything they need, rather than just going on to a Rightmove or Zoopla and finding a property to buy or sell or rent out.
Then you'll see, what's the local school? And it might say it on the map, and then it'll say, the train station's this close, etc. But you probably know where the train station is if you move into that area.
Yeah.
Knowing what the local school is, or if you're in that catchment area, where's the local shops, etc., local youth clubs or stuff like that. That's what people are looking for now.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And so we spoke about sort of your journey through the estate agency world. Mm-hmm. And so explain a little bit now about what Sheldon Bosley Knight is and where you're looking to go in the future and your sort of role and what you're doing there.
So we've got 9 offices now. We do Warwickshire down to Worcestershire sort of area. So we've got Stratford, Evesham, Winchcombe, obviously Kenilworth, Leamington. So we've got offices there. My office itself, we're a family home specialist. That's what we're marketing at. So in Kenilworth, we're mainly family homes. You've got apartments there, but that's not the market we're sort of going after. People move to Kenilworth to start a family or with their family to stay.
Yeah.
And that's how it's all set up. So that's what we're marketing on. So each of our offices has got its own marketing, all coming from our head office, but we've all got our own marketing areas. Like Leamington is the period property.
Okay.
Because obviously it's got Victorian, Georgian properties, etc. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So we all cater our marketing to each region, and that's what we're doing at the moment. We're well ahead of schedule for what we want. We've just opened the office I mentioned in Winchcombe.
Yeah.
So we want to be that trusted agent in the town, the village, the city, etc. that you are. We want to be that trusted agent that people come into and they can chat to, and you get your referrals from someone buying or selling with us.
Yeah. And how's it going to work with, is it going to be two separate things with Sheldon, Bosley, Knight and We Are the Market?
Yeah.
Or are they going to sort of come
They're
together?
They're separate. Although it's one of our owners is the founder.
Yeah.
If you go on the website, we've advertised on there, but we're not like all go and sell your house through Sheldon, Bosley, Knight. It's every agent's got their own share. I think there's on the photos page, we're not at the top in the middle. We're not on the front left. We're about the 7th or 8th one down. So we're not heavily pushing ourselves at the forefront. It is going to be an independent for all the other agents. So we're keeping it very partial. We're not pushing people towards us.
What are you guys doing in terms of land and developments and things like that?
So yeah, we've got land department, which we've spoke about ourselves. We've got new build sites. We've got rural. We've got we do lettings. We've got a planning department.
I didn't realise you did lettings.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a planning department as well.
Right.
So if you buy land off us, you can maybe talk through our architect and planning design team.
Oh, perfect.
They can tell you, you can do this, you can do that, and we can help you get things through planning. And that's not the old school way of a brown envelope, we'll get it through planning. It's up to the rules and regulations. We know what's going to be passed. They're all accredited professionals, so we will help you. So we're covering every base. The listing appointment I've just been at, the house was built in the 60s. It's very 70s design. And I was giving them ideas about if I was to sell that house for them, this is what I'd be telling the potential buyers. And I'd obviously talk to my planning department to see what could be done and stuff for the house, because I'm not just selling the house now. Like when I was at Yopa, I was property A, let's get it sold because I've got property B, C, D, F, etc.
And how many do you sell at Yopa?
Quite a lot.
How many?
Over 100 in a 9-month period with lockdown on. So that was in the lockdown year, over 100 houses.
Wow.
So it was quite busy. And I'd obviously try and give it my all, but it was very time consuming. So you asked me earlier what's best for a person working in a estate agency. Depends where you are in your life as well. So if you've got a lot of time and you might not have as many commitments, and online's good. But for me, it's all about my work-life balance now.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mentioned I've got a young son. So for me, it sounds strange, but getting home, giving him a bath, giving him a bottle, because I don't see him in the day. And then at weekends as well. When I was at Yopa, I'd constantly hear, get off your phone, because my phone would just constantly be going.
Yeah.
Because I'd have a lot of people to deal with.
So it's better now to have, and so if you don't mind going into it too much about obviously what you were getting for the amount of work you're putting in at Yopa.
Yeah.
So say you go and sell 100 houses in 9 months, or as opposed to where you are now. I know you're a branch manager, so it's a little bit different. But if you were just in a normal role, what would the difference be in salaries of someone?
So I can give you examples. When I was at Connells, I'd have my base salary, and then you'd get a cut of the commission.
Yeah.
So when you were at Connells, and this was 2018, 2019, average fee, say it's £2,000. As the lister, you'd get 3%. So you'd get £90.
Oh, wow.
At a push. And then the person selling it would get 4%. And it was something that annoyed me, that I'd list the property, because that's quite the hard part of the estate agency.
It's actually getting it on.
Getting it
books.
on and winning that trust.
Yeah.
And the person selling it would get 1% more than me. Now, I might get a better base salary, but it's hard getting a listing on. There's so many agents out there. And then you can go to your independents. So when we were at Newman's, we were on a 60-40 split, 40 in our favour.
That was great if you're a good lister.
That's good if you're a good lister. And there was other little bits and bobs on it, but that's the basic. Now they might have changed. I think they might have that model still, but they might have another option available to you.
Yeah.
And then you've mentioned Harry, who again worked at Connell's as a junior, and then he's Newman's, and now he's got his own company, HR Estate Agents. He offers a 70-30 split to the agent.
That's a great deal, really,
which is a really good deal. And then you've got EXP. So I've spoke to them and Keller Williams, and you get 75% cut. And then once you've got to a certain threshold, I think it's about 100 grand in fees, you might push up to 80 or 85%.
And what are they doing for you?
They will do your marketing, I believe. I mean, I've had brief conversations because they're fairly new here. I think I spoke to the market centre owner in Surrey.
Yeah.
But around the Midlands, they've only just started really kicking off around the Midlands.
Yeah.
And then you've got Yopa, and Yopa offer you your set fees. So you pay X amount, and then the agent would get a cut of that. There's two different options on that. And then there's another one that the agent will get a cut of. So it all varies. You've got the high street with your basic and then your commission. And then you've got the self-employed or the online that you get no basic, but you get a better cut of the commission.
And I know you touched on it earlier about how things are changing. I don't want to give you a sort of a really unfair, difficult question here, but do you honestly see things like, and businesses like SBK, Sheldon, Bosley, like being here in 10 years? Do you think there's always going to be a market for that? Or do you think, like you say, everything's going social media, it's going that way, people aren't going to want that?
So we've been around since about 1879.
Quite a while then.
So a little while. I think we started off trading meat.
Okay.
And then got into the estate agency world. So we've been around a while. And yeah, as I say, I think there's a marketplace for everyone. Will the high street stick to the high street ways? No. Will they change fully to the online ways? No. Will the online stay only doing their online stuff? No. Everyone's going to merge. You're learning from each other and learning the best ways each agency, each company do well in, and everyone's going to just use different bits. And who's to say in 10 years' time, high street and online, you know, what are we going to be? Virtual. Probably be virtual agents in 10 years' time. I've said it for a few years. You've got floor plans now. You have Matterport. You have agent videos going through a property. 10 years' time, we'll probably be sat here and we'll put a headset on.
Yeah.
And we'll be walking through the property, and we'll probably be able to open the doors and open the windows and look in their fridge. That people seem to like to do. I don't really care what's in people's fridges, but, you know.
Get your own food.
Yeah, people like to do it. But yeah, that's probably what we'll be doing in 10 years' time, that you can just sit here and look around a house. So that's probably where we'll be going.
Well, me and Will, the videographer behind the cameras, we were just talking earlier. We were talking about things about like audiobooks and how it's all changed to that rather than people reading. But then obviously, I think it will go back to people wanting a hard copy of a book, a bit like how records came back out and became popular.
Yeah, it's cycles.
Do you think something like that will happen in the property thing?
Yeah, it's cycles, isn't it? So you've just mentioned Audible. For me, I've probably listened to about 6 books on there in a year.
Yeah.
Unless I'm on holiday, I won't read a book. I genuinely don't really have time to read a book. So unless I'm on holiday, I won't read one. But driving along in my car, I'll listen to it. Going for a run, I'll listen to it. So it's making that time available. When I go on holiday, I like to read one. I wouldn't want to listen to one on a podcast or on your phone or whatever it is. You read one. So yeah, it's getting it back. And it's a generational thing as well. So our parents probably, my mother's got 2 Kindles. She still reads a book. Like, she wants the technology, but she still likes the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
And people do like, it's mixing it up. Whereas my girlfriend's dad reads his Kindle every day, but then reads a paper every day. So he does a bit of both.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just in a cycle. So the online did well for a few years, and then they might get a bit of criticism. So the high street needed shaking up, and it's happened, and now who knows what will go forward.
And would you recommend anyone getting into this industry?
Only if you want to. Only if you like property. You've got to put the hard work in. So if you think you're going to turn up at 9 o'clock and finish at 6 o'clock, you might get away with it for a while. On the online, no chance. You know, I used to get calls at 9, 10 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning. But that's what an agent is now. It's more, it's no longer 9 to 5, and we're going through a global pandemic where people are working from home more.
Yeah.
So I think it's changing. The whole world's changing. You've got to be adaptable. And that's what each company's doing, making themselves adaptable to fit in with the current market.
And so, obviously, in your experience, what you've learned so far, I know we spoke about it a few times now, but you've done the Connells, done Yopa, then the self-employed, and then on to the high street. Where do you see the market going then?
Virtual.
Yeah.
Virtual, yeah. I mean, my niece is 6. She knows how to use a phone, knows how to use a telly better than me.
Yeah.
And you look at the top 10 paid jobs in 1999, none of them are in the top 10 paid jobs today.
Yeah.
It's all gone down towards technology routes and all that industry. I'm pretty clueless with it, to be honest with you, but that's how it's gone. So what's the next 10 years going to take? I can't see us going back to pen and paper.
Yeah.
With what's available. People like this ease, this quickness. You can sit on your phone here. We could look now on Rightmove and you could book a viewing just sitting here instead of having to phone someone up, registering all your details and that forth. I mean, people don't mind doing that because if you were selling a house, you'd want to know that the company selling your house has took the details of someone coming round, because it could be anyone. So yeah, it's just about ease and time, isn't it? Because it's changing a lot and everyone's got less time now. And
I think as well, you just touched on it there, I think they'll bring in some more legislation and restrictions, because at the end of the day, you can walk out of school, get a job in an estate agent, and then walk straight into someone's house, which is a bit worrying.
Yeah, you could. I've got a lad in my office now. He's on a year placement from uni. So we've took him on. He's the first one in our company to give them that opportunity. He's left uni. He's been at college, and then he's walking around 1.6, 1.8 million pound house.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got, it is worrying. And a lot of estate agents usually, I'm probably one of the exceptions to the rules, but most estate agents start 17 to 21.
Yeah.
That's when they really get into it, because you can go into an estate agency job on a basic salary of more than what you were probably getting as a part-time waiter or waitress or bar staff, etc. You can go into that job and you have a bit of, you feel good if you're that age and you've got, you know, you might get a company car to use, etc. You've got money coming in your pocket, you get a sale and you get a bonus, etc. So yeah, anyone can walk into it, but I think you've got to check things, because if you give false information out to people, that can affect things.
And where do you see the actual property market going at the moment? If you could let us know, obviously you're the expert. So
over the last year, it's gone up about 8%,
yeah,
which is a ridiculous price increase.
Seems mad considering everything that's going on.
Crazy.
It doesn't actually make sense, does it?
People like buying things, which you know is true. People like buying things, and if you're locked away for 3 months, you would just want to buy things. Look who did well during the lockdown: Amazon, UPS, FedEx, because they're delivery people.
Yeah,
they're delivering things. So people want to buy things, and people wanted to buy houses. Now, wiping the stamp duty up to 500k was just a brilliant idea. I personally think it should just be wiped altogether, but they wiped it. The amount of properties that are going through, there's still properties now that were agreed in August and September that haven't gone through. Not at my company. I just want to put that out there. But there's still properties now that August, September that were agreed, still haven't gone through. We're in March. Like August, September, I used to tell people around 10th to the 17th of October, if you agree then you should be in before Christmas.
Yeah.
We're in March and these were agreed 6 weeks before. So I think the next thing to change in this whole industry has to be the solicitors.
Right, okay.
That really needs to change, because they're still old school. They're still pen and paper. They're still writing letters for files. They're the ones that hold a lot of the process up now, because they've not been in the offices. They're people they need to get plans from, etc. aren't in the offices. It's holding everything up. So it really needs to start looking into being centralised onto a computer or a a central system that you can just apply for things.
Yeah.
Because they're the only industry I know that still work 9 till 5 with an hour's lunch break, and you can't get hold of them on a Monday or Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're still stuck in the 1980s way.
They really are, aren't they? I remember when we used to work at Newman's and you call them up at 1 o'clock and they go, yeah, they're on the lunch. And then, but you got to remember, if there's 20 people trying to call them up between them hours, they've got to call them all back. So you never get called back until...
They'll never get called back. And we had a lady at Newman's, Catherine.
Yeah, she was brilliant.
One, if not the best sales chaser I've ever known. And she'd struggle to get it. She'd get the job done, but she would drive to the estate agents. Instead of posting a letter, she'd just drive it and get them to sign it to speed things up, because you post it and it's 2 days, then they'll sign it, post it back. There's a week gone. Yeah. So it really needs like e-signs. We do them now at my company, e-sign for contracts.
And there was that, do you remember that? I won't name the solicitor, but that lady, one of the solicitors in Coventry, is quite difficult. And it was, it's in the pile, I haven't got to it yet.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I've got a sale trying to go through here, and you just can't bother to
This is people trying to get delivery trucks. You're trying to move your life. You've got to do your post. You've got to do all your bills. You might have to go to school, but it's on a pile. I'll get to it. It's just not. It's not good enough. So I think Premier Property Lawyers, really big, very similar to a Purple Bricks model.
Yeah,
they all start to begin with a P for some reason. So yeah, they do. Hundreds of administrators are doing the paperwork and getting things through, and then they'll get a conveyancer to sign it off once it's complete. And that's how it really should be. You shouldn't have to rely on 1 or 2 people sending something in the post and waiting for things, because it's just taking too much time. And I think in this morning on the property industry, there was a top guy saying solicitors need to be accountable because it's costing money. It's holding things up.
And is that something that We Are the Market's going to be doing as well?
We'll be looking into it. I think someone in that industry needs to, unless it's already in the pipeline, someone needs to really look at doing it. Because I know how much conveyancing costs, I've been told. And then obviously you've got your different pricing. And I always say to people, if you go for cheap conveyancing, you'll do a bit of the work yourself and you won't get as many answers. Middle of the road is where you should really be looking. Top end, they've just got nice hold music. They're all doing the same job.
You're right.
That's it. So conveyancing, it needs to be looked at, because the pricing that you can see and the whole variant on it is crazy. That really needs to be looked into. But maybe this new leasing that's out recently, not charging people so much for renewing a lease and making it easier. Maybe that's the next step.
Well, it's actually a property we looked at potentially buying together, because... So how does it work then? So you don't have to pay as much to extend the lease? So it
used to be, 10 to 15K to extend a lease, and you were given up to maybe 99 years, whereas now it's changing. I think they're saying, 250 quid.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to cost to update a lease. You don't have to own it for 2 years.
And could that be up to like
999 years on the lease if you want. So, yeah, it's some companies will probably go under for it because they probably had their livelihoods on it.
Yeah.
But it's needed. I mean, you own the place, you pay a lease on it. Why should you pay so much to renew it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And with everything that's gone on in the past year, like you say, the 8% growth, does that mean there's going to be a crash?
Yeah. I'd probably say yeah.
Everyone keeps talking about a crash, but no one's got a date where it's going to happen, have they?
You can't predict it. So the market was stagnant for probably about 6 months while Brexit was being discussed, because people were a bit uncertain.
Yeah.
And that's what shocked me when we came out of the lockdown, because people were buying houses, but, furlough this morning's potentially been extended till September. So I think once furlough stopped and companies come back to full capacity, are they needed in offices? I think we'll see more of office spaces closing because people can work from home. Technology's changed. 20 years ago for me, if you wanted to use the internet, if it was out, you'd phone on the home phone. If someone was on the phone, you wouldn't connect to the internet. Now you can just sit on your laptop. You don't need to plug in your wire to your computer. That's what you used to have to do.
Yeah, we know what that's like, to be honest.
So everything's changing, isn't it? So I'd probably say in the next 6 to 9 months. Now, I'm not saying it's going to crash and knock 20% off the prices, but it needs to level out, because the market rises maybe 1.5% a year. And then it's a bit like you were saying earlier about books and audible.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. So in about a 10-year cycle, the property prices will increase, and then they'll have to just mellow and just steady out for a year or two to let everything else catch up. Now, if you look at property inflation to wage inflation over the last 20 years, it's massively distorted. So something really needs to be done. But because the market went up so much last year, and that's, some agents are bad for it, that they'll put a house on for a certain price, but a house will only go for what someone buys it for.
Yeah.
But you've also got to remember that if you put a house on at a certain price that's 15-20% more than everything else comparable in the area,
It just won't sell.
chances are that if someone does buy it because they might want it, if you're getting a mortgage, the mortgage companies aren't going to say, oh yeah, no, that's nice, we'll give you that mortgage. The mortgage companies use sold properties, comparable prices, their instinct. So if they're seeing that 8 houses around here have sold for 350k and you're paying 425 for it, they're not going to give you the mortgage on it. So you're going to be 6 weeks, 9 weeks down the line that it's just going to be like,
they'll downvalue it.
Yeah, you're getting downvalued. And luckily, you've known me for however many years. That's not something I look at doing. I'm not in the market and I'm not in the industry to put a house on, because anyone can do it to win a listing. If you win someone over and then tell them that you're going to get them 50,000 more than everyone else, who are you going to pick?
Yeah.
So if you do that, you've got that person so far down the line, they might be buying a property themselves, and then it will just collapse because they will get downvalued. And we know as well in a certain area in Coventry that I spoke to a surveyor and he was downvaluing a lot of the rental properties in CV1 because there was about 82% of properties were rental. Now, the prices means that they're going to be sky high because investors are looking at them. But you don't pay council tax when it's in student let.
Yeah.
So you still got to do the same amount of work in that area, but you're only getting 18% of people paying for it. So everyone else will pay for it. So council tax goes up. So they're having to lower it because you've got to bring money into the area as well. So I think they were looking to lower it to like 60-65% because they're aware that it is a student area.
Yeah.
But you've still got to have a good mix.
Well, it's like what you said about taking on property. It's like when me and Carl at Short Move take on a property, we don't just go, oh yeah, we're going to get you a nightly rate of £150 and yeah, let's take it on, because it doesn't serve us well, because we're not going to make any money out of it because no one's going to pay the nightly rate that we've promised. The client is going to be unhappy. Mm-hmm. So, and then you've got bad properties on your books.
Yeah, and you don't, in this industry, it's, if you do a bad deal, if you get 10 bad reviews. If you don't do what you say. If you do well, you'll get 1 or 2.
And everyone looks at the bad reviews, not the good ones.
And if you sell someone's house, they might say, oh, they got my house sold, and they might tell 1 or 2 people. If you don't sell someone's house,
not tell everyone.
They'll tell absolutely everyone. So, I go for quality over quantity. And that's something that I'd rather do. And I'd rather tell people the truth of what I feel comfortable marketing their property at. It's not something that I would want to change. I've been told in the past, oh, get it on, get it down. And I'm not going to name the companies. Yeah. I said companies, it's not a lot to pick from. But yeah, get it on, get it down. That's not my style. I'd rather people happy with me. I sold a house for a lady last year. She thought it was going to be a little bit less. I told her the exact figure. She sent my son clothes when he was born. I'd rather that than someone saying, oh, you're rubbish because you haven't sold my house. I'd rather just not have it. And it sounds really, not spiteful, but I get quite a lot of pleasure of looking on Rightmove at properties have just been reduced for the second or third time to the price that I said to market the property at, because the first 4 to 6 weeks of marketing are key. And that's probably when you'll find your buyer.
Yeah.
If you don't find it then, you might not find the buyer and it might be another agent. So I quite enjoy seeing people's houses on the market at the price I told them 3-6 months earlier. Because if they would have listened to me, it probably would have sold at that point.
Yeah.
Because you've got that hype. So, yeah.
No, I completely agree. Now, well, I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you crack on with the rest of your day. But thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you want to mention? So obviously you've got We Are The Market, and should you have a business Instagram?
I do. It's Rockwell_Allen_property.
Yeah, you use it all the time, trying to think about
use it all the time. I've recently changed it, obviously, because I was at Yopa.
Yeah.
So it was Yopa Coventry, etc. So I've changed it to that. Sheldon Bosley Night as well. absolutely everything you need, anything you need in property development, land, barn conversions. We do a bit of everything. So yeah, that's the sites to look out for.
And again, don't want to ask too many difficult questions here.
It's okay.
But what if someone wants to sell out of one of your areas?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
it's
can have
definitely
a
possible.
conversation with you.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we've just sold a house, Windmill Hill, which you know because your mum lives just down the road. I live just down the road. It's not in my area, but we'll still do the sale.
Yeah.
We don't turn away business. And even if it's one that we might turn away, well, I say we don't turn away business, and then one that we might not cater, because I've also got to think of my staff. If I've got it, I don't mind travelling, but if I'm not in, I don't want my staff travelling to certain areas that they might not be comfortable with, or they might not know. And you've also got to think, if it's on a Saturday and it's an hour away, and they do 2 hours viewing, that's the Saturday done. It's just a waste of their time. So we'd do it, but if not, I always recommend other agents.
I was just going to say that you could point someone in the right
I
direction.
did it last week. Took a business decision not to do a valuation for a property, phoned Harry. He sent one of his agents round. Hopefully they'll win the listing. So yeah, I'm sure he probably would do it for me. But he does cover quite a big patch. But it's something that I do.
Okay, wicked. Well, thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Lovely. Cheers.